And in the 6 o'clock position, the Texas American homebrew transplant.
That's right.
This is Empire Violet.
And of course, everyone watching the other stream, just know that beautiful Sean will be returning very, very soon. We just wanted to wrap out the first round of Group A. Of course, we are going to be doing the entire Group A here for the start of the tournament. And for the people in the audience and also on the other stream, you may not have saw this, but Ganzi did not wall in, really, I believe, in that last game at all until he took his natural expansion. This time he has decided to go for a very standard expansion timing here. And the Overlord now, with his little Nike sneakers on, able to just run so quickly and able to spot the basically the main base. He's going to see exactly what's going on there. And also, he's going to see, hey, there is no gas going down here. So he's going to know kind of, hey, there's a high chance for an expansion build.
Yeah, Ganzi opts in for getting out that orbital command first. Now, we saw that Ganzi really started to hit his stride once he already had his medevacs in play. Once he was able to use those drops to his advantage and stay active on the map, that was when he started being so strong. And I believe that he may have even surprised himself there because he was feeling unconfident. But once he was able to hit the macro game, hit that late game where your opponent is able to make mistakes, he actually won out so strong.
Yeah, and in that last game as well, I mean, you mentioned hitting his stride. He definitely did. He was doing three-pronged attacks the entire time, and he basically did stay on Siege Tank Marine, even going against Mass Infestor and Mass Ultralisk as well, which that's a lot of splash damage going out. When you're a Marine, that is absolutely no fun. And one thing that did keep Violet in the game the entire time is he hit 5 or 6 different Baneling landmines that would slice that army immediately in half. And look at that, Violet once again being world's best boss, keeping his drones alive, although immediately putting them back to work like all good bosses do. And it does look like the expansion there will go unchecked for now.
Yeah, so Violet also last game, if we want to point out something that he did that probably led to his ultimate demise there, he built so many Ultralisks.
So many.
Right? He didn't have that extra long-term game plan already set up. He was like, okay, I'm already ahead. I'm just going to finish the game with Ultralisks. But instead, Ganzi was just able to pull through. He expanded all the way through the top of Entombed, and he ended up just having so much more income ultimately, and really those Ultras have such a hard time breaking through, especially when Ganzi kills your Infestors.
I just want to say, that game was so silly. If you didn't watch that game, go watch it, because another interesting thing Violet did is he expanded twice at the Terran's
if you were busy watching Illusion and Stefano, shame on you.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, seriously. No, but that game is great, and I'm curious to see exactly how Violet plays this one out. We've seen him go for a lot of queens in both these games, at least getting out 4. And that's exactly what we're seeing here, is 2 more queens are on the way. And his creep spread has just been top-notch in both of these games. I think in both games, able to reach his opponent's base with that creep very quickly. Now, we do see that the factory is indeed done. This is somehow not a tight wall-in. I don't know how that happened, but that does mean early Hellion opening. You just got to watch out for those new range queens.
Right, so this is actually exactly what we talked about a little bit sooner, just how much those queens has changed that early game matchup for ZVT. Really, the Zerg player has almost nothing to fear this early, especially if we look over at Violet's natural. He has a couple queens out there that already have the same exact range as the Hellions. And not only that, but those destructible debris make it very hard for the Hellions to get by anyway. So really, all that we're going to see Ganzi using those Hellions for is to get a little information on the map and to try to kill the creep tumors as they morph in.
Now, we do have a starport here, which is going to be landing on the Tech Lab. Now, usually this does mean some sort of Banshee play. Is he going to go for it here? I'm very curious. And cloaking as well. Now, you got to remember, he didn't completely rush towards this. He is mixing in, the expansion, of course, for one, and also the Hellions getting mixed in as well. And I'm kind of curious if he's planning for a timing here where he's going to push in with the Hellions and the Banshees, or if he's going to be going for some sort of multi-prong harass.
Wow, unfortunately unable to get in there and finish off any of those creepers. Violet staying active with the queens as well. Now, he's not going to be able to stay out there with those Hellions because otherwise he is going to pretty much lose them without them having paid for themselves just yet, as Ganzi now waits for a couple more Hellions to join him out in the center of the map to wait for his push. Meanwhile, Violet's third is almost just about wrapped up, and he's also started building a macro hatch.
Going to be sacking the Overlord here to see what's going on in the main base. These are the buildings he's looking for. He wants to know what the production is here, and it does look like the Overlord will get taken out. And I want to point out super quick, a lot of people ask about this map, but no, he didn't expand here. You have to kill his creep tumor to expand.
Oh, no. Now that Overlord does just barely get in range of the starport. It does see the Tech Lab on there, so you can bet the Violet is going to be keen to exactly what's going on. And there we have him starting a Spore Crawler in direct response to this. Now Ganzi moving down with all of his Hellions, now starting to harass that third and force just a few more units out of Violet. Violet moving down with his 2 queens. Of course, that third's going to be perfectly safe, but will Ganzi lose any of those Hellions?
What is he doing with these Hellions? You cannot leave them down there that long, especially versus the Queens with the additional health. We do see the Banshee inside the main base now, although he, or I guess she, is happily collecting a lot of kills here, up to 7. Violet, you're losing all your drones here, so he definitely needs to make sure to deal with that, and losing some lings down here. So Ganzi in pretty good shape here already, Rob. He's at 77 supply to the 64, and it does look like the Banshee unable to continue harassing that drone line.
Yeah, he was able to make it up to just about 10 kills before we saw that Banshee go down, and there we have it, 10 of those workers killed. Now, the unit that I want to talk about here that Ganzi's building that we haven't seen very much of is that Reaper.
Wow. And that's like a super, super mid-game Reaper as well. My guess is he's got to be using it to try and lock down that third base, see the timing of the drones over there, and get his opponent out of position. But, I mean, look at exactly what Ganzi's doing here. He is doing a very high APM build. What do I mean by that? Well, he needs to keep the Hellions alive. They're very fragile, but very fast. Banshees, same thing. They're very fragile. They do a lot of damage, though. And, of course, they can fly. And then you have a couple Marines mixed in. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him splitting up all these units. The Reaper is one of them as well. So a very interesting play out of Ganzi here. I'm kind of curious how this plays out for him.
Right, so Violet is also already mixing up his gameplay from last game as well. We have him adding on the Spire much sooner. It's only at the 10-minute mark, and there he is already about a quarter done with that. Now that first Reaper was staying active out through the main just a little bit. Now Ganzi is staying active here as well. The Reaper does go down back over there. Now Ganzi is pushing in to the third. Violet's trying to get this around with a few of those links, but the Hellions are really doing work.
We do have another Banshee moving down here, immediately cloaking that. Zerglings, though, being so cost-effective here. I mean, they can't shoot air, although Queens can. One Banshee goes down, and Ganzi going for this wacky build with a bunch of fragile units. Oh, no, don't lose that Banshee as well. Needs to retreat there, but what was once a supply lead is now, you know, barely a supply lead. And now that you can see right there, Ganzi making 15, or not Ganzi, excuse me, Violet making 15 drones to try and catch up with this relatively early third for Ganzi. Ganzi adding on 2 command centers. I love when these 2 players play, Rob.
And Violet knows that after Ganzi does a push like that, there's not going to be anything following for at least a small chunk of time. So following that up with a very huge round of drones is going to be just what he needs to pull ahead a little bit. We also see Violet now starting his 2-2 upgrades as he waits for those centrifugal hooks to finish up, and also Ganzi continuing his macro game over there by adding on a few more Raxes.
More drones on the way here from Violet. I've been watching that production tab, just non-stop waves, and you may be wondering, well, why is he still just barely in the lead on the worker count? You gotta remember that third base was so soon. He's been going up against so much different type of harassment here from Ganzi. Although Violet was able to finish his 1-1, he does have 2-2 on the way. Baneling speed, +1 for his mutas. But, you know, since he was running those drones all over the place, only able to produce 5 mutas here right now. And I'm kind of curious to see, is he going to stick with just the 5? Is he going to bump up to, you know, 6 or 7? Or is he going to go a crazy amount of Mutalisk here? Just 5 mutas, though. They can kill a lot of SCVs if you leave them completely undefended. Well,
they're just about to kill units in 1 volley as long as he gets that +1 finished up, although it's only about halfway there just now. And now Ganzi moving down with his Banshee, starting to harass that 4th, just trying to put Violet in an awkward spot, get him to pull his Queens a little bit too far away from his main. Now, what Ganzi's doing here, that, oh no, catching the drop, all of those Mutalisk really worth their weight in gold.
The wrong way. You could have easily turned around there. So Violet says, hey, I'm here with those mutas. How about those missile turrets? Oh, you don't have anything. Now the fun begins, as he is going to get pushed out of here for it now. But I can't believe he actually was able to snipe that medevac, because not only does that not force Violet to stay in his base, it's also a lot of money. Take a look at the units lost here. All of a sudden, he's way ahead.
Ganzi was just a little too busy staying active on the rest of the map. Now, what Ganzi has done that could be so good for him, we saw it pay off last game. He's built 2 more command centers, and those are now turning into orbital commands. If he gets ahead in the macro, once again, he's going to be in a comfortable spot. Now we have those Mutalisk once again getting in there and just finishing off the Banshee in time to save the 4th.
But these Marines, man, they're not going to be happy about losing that Banshee. This hatchery very low on HP. Does he decide to transfuse? You got to remember, he does have those extra Queens. Transfusing that could indeed save it, but I love how Violet's playing this. He's using these 5 Mutalisks. Now he has bumped them up just a little bit more, but being cost-effective with them, he's not throwing them away. And, you know, you have to be careful with your Mutalisk, because that gas is so vital. Here he goes right now. He's decided to go for it. He does decide to send in the Mutalisk. The Baneling's rolling up in right behind them and doing a surprising amount of damage here. The drop on the left side is going to be engaging this hatchery. May be able to get it. That is a lot of drones that will get taken out, but there's Zerglings running into the third base of the Terran. We have Zerglings into the natural as well, and this is looking really good for Violet.
And I would see Violet is going in for that guaranteed damage on the third and it's not looking like Ganzi's going to have too much stuff. Look at all of those banelings and the SCVs. The absolute carnage.
Oh, indeed. 63 workers killed. Only 14 by our Terran players. So these Marines, they basically got to kill this base and this base and this base if he wants to be even. But right now, it does look like the banelings rolling into what remains of the natural. And I'm really surprised to see Ganzi crumble under this pressure, because before we saw him defending so well, the banelings saying, all right, fine, we'll do something, blowing up those buildings. But this drop, man, I don't think it's going to be enough.
Violet is just so good at picking his battles, knowing exactly when his opponent is going to be unprepared. We saw him get around with that fantastic flank, and now Ganzi is just scrambling to pick up the pieces. Finishes off the engineering bays before the upgrades finish.
Yeah, just seconds before the upgrades finish. Now, I know he's about, 60 or 70 supply behind right now. It's been fluctuating quite a bit, but having those 2-2 upgrades would have helped him out a lot. I mean, you invested not only a lot of money into that you didn't get to spend on your army earlier, but also now you're behind in upgrades. You're behind in SCVs, you're behind in army, and that means just start microing Marines.
It's the only way that he's going to come back. As you so notably said, he now needs to use his extremely small force to kill like 5 bases.
Oh yeah, no, I mean this group of Marines, man, they should make like a TV series about them because they are going against all odds behind enemy lines. No one thought they had a chance, and they probably actually don't. So we'll see if he manages to get a drop at this. How many bases are we up to? This is the 5th base, and they see the morphing banelings there and say, yeah, guys, go ahead.
Good time to unload.
Yeah, so this, I mean, I really don't know what Ganzi can do here. Now, we did see Ganzi come back in these games where he is losing his units. He is eating up a couple of banelings. These Marines still, oh, there we go. The Mutalisk Engagement, clean that up. I do want to mention, though, that Ganzi has double expo. I mean, he has these 2 command centers at least remaining, and they're all orbitals, and he has this command center here. I don't know where he gets the money for these, but that is a lot of mules he can be dropping to try and get back in this. But he has about 60 or 70 supply to make up for.
Now, Violet has a fleet of 17 Mutalisks flying around the map, and really there just isn't that much that Ganzi quite has to deal with something that can be that mobile. He's got a lot of Marines out there, and there is a single Thor out in play.
Yeah.
But as long as Violet stays really active and makes a trap with these Zerglings and Banelings in the center, there's not much Ganzi's going to be able to do to break through.
Now Ganzi decided to go for it. Mutalisk need to be careful. Thor needs to start shooting there. He does. It does look like he has magic boxes though, but there's not enough Marines to shoot down the Mutalisk. Violet says this game is over. He's got to be marching up here with all of his units, and it looks like Ganzi's not going to have a lot left here to deal with it. And I'm surprised to see Ganzi move out here because he had those 2 bases to continue making workers, but Violet cleaned up that entire army. Units tab shows 9 Marines with no medevac girlfriends, so it's quite lonely right now over here for Ganzi.
It's unfortunate, regardless of how attractive all of the people are here. It's not. Oh, and there it goes. Ganzi forced to tap out. Not able to secure the relationship that he was so seeking after that
match. And, I feel like maybe his nerves got to him a little bit because that attack by Violet, I mean, it was beautifully timed. It did a great job, and I feel like Ganzi really needed to hold on at that moment in the game. We saw him in the last game. If you're watching this stream, it was entire time, but this game, I mean, he just took like the death blow right there. He took so much damage, was unable to recover. But one thing I like about Ganzi is he makes more command centers than I've seen most Terran players do. So even if he lost that army, he double expanded. He had an additional command center in his main, so he had like 5 to just be able to drop a crazy amount of mules. Unfortunately for him, wasn't able to catch back up.
That's right. Well, when you look at how little those command centers cost, like in relation to how much money they can make you anyway, it's totally worth the risk. So, ladies and gentlemen, that does do it for the first 2 games of Group A. When we come back, there is going to be more StarCraft 2 action. If you came over here from stream number 1, you can hop back because DJ Wheat and Day 9 will be over there waiting patiently for you after this break. So, I'm Rob Simpson.
I'm Husky, and we're going to be back right after this.